Hello everyone. How's everybody doing? I think Northern Chimp, first one here from a while ago, said it's 3 a.m. for me. I slept 4 hours last night, but I'm waiting. We're good to have you here. We got Alex here. Great to see you. So what's up everybody? Hope you guys doing great. Sorry I missed a couple of last live streams. I've been busy. YouTube is my part-time non-paying job, so sometimes when things happen and I have more important things to do, unfortunately YouTube suffers. But we're here today, and today I want to talk about the most important skill that most developers don't think about. And after talking to a lot of different people, and again, like, don't get me wrong, there's so many things you have to learn when you're learning to program to get a job. It's just a lot. But this one skill that we're going to talk about today, and you can let me know, maybe I'm complete nonsense here, whatever, but this one skill will help you to definitely put all the things together in terms of getting your foot in the door, getting a job, getting hired. And it's a skill, it's something you could get better, and I'm going to tell you right now, most people don't do this and they're not natural at it. And the reason why some people are better than others, it's because they practice. So I already said hi to Alex. Hey Ors, what's up? Good to see you. So before we get into the topic, you guys, I like the fact that you guys saying hello, saying hi in the comments. Love to have you here. And again, doesn't matter how many people watch, I'm going to continue to talk about on Saturdays the soft skills that are required to get hired and the things that you need to do. And on Tuesday night streams, we're just going to talk about coding, building projects, and why that's important as well. But today, we're talking about soft skills, and we're talking about the one crucial skill that everybody needs to have. And this is just something that most developers don't do. And again, if you graduated out of college with a CS degree, if you had previous experience, then obviously getting a job might be easier for you. But if you're switching careers or you're a self-taught developer, believe it or not, getting your first job, getting your foot in the door is really, really difficult. And a lot of times when I hear some of these YouTubers talk about their struggle, or it seems like the lack of it, at least not all of them, but some of them, and also some people saying, oh, in 4 months I learned everything I needed to know to get a job making bajillion dollars. And the fact is, it's a difficult skill. It takes work. It's hard. And most people that talk about coding and learning to code in 4 months fall into two categories. One, they got lucky, and luck is a big part of it. And if you get lucky, good for you. A lot of us get lucky. And our luck, if we could increase it by preparation and time spent improving certain skills. And then on another hand, it's someone who is selling you a course or doing whatever. They're like, oh, in 4 months, I guarantee that you're going to become a Python master developer. But today, I'm going to tell you that there's many skills that you have to learn. And don't believe the hype. Just know that it's going to take you however long it's going to take you to get hired. And what you have to understand is that there is no easy formula that will help you to get there faster or slower. It all depends on the time you're able to put into learning, your commitment, and all this other stuff. But what I'm going to talk about today will definitely shortcut the process, because in every job I had, I'm not here to lie to you guys. I'm not here to tell you, like, look, this is what I did, but like tell you something completely different. The truth is, getting a job, it's not just about knowing how to code, but it's even more so about networking. Bam, big reveal. Getting really good at networking and marketing yourself is what's going to help you get the job fast, and faster than most people. And you don't have to listen to me. It's fine. I'm just going to tell you that in my experience, every job that I had, it's because of somebody I knew, maybe not directly, but it is interconnected. It was always easier to get a job through familiarity and recommendation of other people than from just randomly shooting out applications. And let me say hello to a bunch of people. And then Alex was saying, yeah, some people lie when they tell about their success in coding. I get it. Anna, what's up? I gotta come see you and visit you, do some jiu-jitsu with you. I'm still in Connecticut, so not that far away from you. And yeah, man, thank you so much. Hey, Paul, I hope your Ukrainian family is safe and well. They're doing, obviously, in the situation that they're in, it's terrible. But with all things considered, like they're, you know, staying safe. We did a little fundraiser. I don't think it might still be going on. I posted on Twitter. By the way, everybody who donated, thank you so much. We were able to send them the money. They were able to get food because right now everybody kind of staying at home, not going anywhere. They're right in the midst of where all this like stuff is happening. And so we were able to help him a lot, and hopefully they're able to find a way to move to a more secure place. So thank you for that. And you know let's see here, saying hello. And again, I don't want to make this show political and talk about what's happening in the world. It's terrible, because the truth is then we would just always talk about it, and there's nothing wrong to talk about it. But this channel is about coding. It's about helping us to get jobs and move forward and getting hired, and that's what we're going to focus on. But yeah, with that being said, like, world is a crazy place, and if you're able to complain, meaning you're safe enough, you're well enough that you shouldn't make any excuses about getting out there, doing what it takes to get a job and getting a job, because you're healthy, you're safe, you're here. So what is the worst case scenario? Like, oh, the interviewer is not going to hire you? That's fine. So always important for you guys. And this is something that like I try to do. I don't do it all the time, but I'll wake up in the morning and I will just say, thank you, whatever you believe in, doesn't matter if it's God, non-God, AI, whatever. Just say, thank you for letting me wake up today and allowing me to have the opportunity to enjoy this day and do the best that I can. And something that I do at night, again, I don't do this all the time, so don't think of me like I'm like some crazy like person who does everything right. But once in a while, before I go to sleep, I literally go to sleep with the idea that maybe tomorrow I won't wake up, and I'll just kind of do a quick review of my life and be like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what's going on. And if I don't wake up tomorrow, I don't wake up tomorrow. So the point I'm saying is be blessed with the things that you have, even if though they might be the best things that you want. Like the fact that you're able to have the opportunity to pull yourself up and go to interviews and do the studying, you're already doing better than most people. But anyway, I digress. Hey, what's up? Old Boldy. I just can't some of these names, sorry. Yeah, so anyway, enough with the news, because I don't really care about like politics. The one thing that I'm going to say, like talk about politics, you have to make sure that you get a view of everybody involved, even the people that you don't like. You can't just base stuff on one-sided opinion. But that's all I'm going to say and move on, whatever. And then let's get back to cool stuff. I've been hitting John's tutorials pretty hard lately, and it's super fun, but also starting to feel some burnout. Mostly backhand, switched it up to front end and have a little more juice. Yeah, just keep at it, man. You got this. You're gonna definitely do this. Just keep studying, keep doing. And so today we're gonna talk about the one and most important thing that everybody should understand. If you don't have a college degree, if you're switching careers, if you did not get a CS degree, right? What I'm going to say to you guys is that you need to develop the skill that's going to allow you to compete with college grads, meaning that you need to develop the skill where you're able to stand out and show your worth as a developer. And so today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to market yourself, how to position yourself to give you the best chances of getting hired, and why networking is the most important skill that you need to have, even if you don't have it at the moment. And when I say networking, I mean networking, building connections, building a circle of friends who are developers, getting out there, talking to people. And I'm going to tell you like a very interesting thing that happened to me a couple of years ago. I met someone at a meetup. I know now we don't do them in person anymore, but people are starting to get. I met someone on a meetup, just randomly talked to them. Then I befriended them on LinkedIn, so I'm connected to them on LinkedIn. And now my current position that I'm getting hired, the person that I met 2 years ago really knows really well the guy that I'm going to be working for this time. And what's cool, it's like not saying that they're going to talk to each other and be like, Paul's the greatest person ever, but the fact that, you'll never know how connections help and how you could get a recommendation from a place or a person that you least expected. So today we're going to talk about marketing yourself, why it's important, talk about building connections, building relations, and how to stand out when you don't have a college degree. And we're going to look at the typical, recommendation of what do you need to do to get a job as a web developer. And we're going to start with this article just to kind of get an idea, and then I'm going to kind of show you and you slowly progress. And guys, and gals, I want you to be part of this conversation. So feel free to ask questions. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey as I started. And the cool part, by the way, when I started looking for work, I started this channel, Coding After 30, on YouTube. And by the way, I was unemployed when I started it, and I did not have a job many, many, many years ago. And so what's awesome is that you could literally, not saying that you should, but you could go and see my evolution from my first YouTube video where I'm still some random dude, just got a shirt on today because I figured that would make me look more official, But what I basically, you could see is my whole progression, starting from start to where I am today, and you could see how I evolved and changed, and how I improved in certain areas, and how I grew myself to now be working at my third company as a developer. And the reason why I say this to you is because everything I say to you guys, I'm not some guy that is trying to sell you a course or my goal is to be the best developer that I can. As a developer, I have this YouTube channel because, first of all, it's fun and I like talking with you. Also, if I could help you guys not make the same mistakes I've made, that would be fantastic. So help you guys get to where you want to go much faster. But like I said, you could see my whole journey on my YouTube channel, how I went from not working to being on my third developer job. And it's kind of cool for me to see because a lot of times it's hard to believe that you're able to make those changes and make the switch. And one of the reasons why I feel that everything was really hard, by the way, I'm just going to say this, but one of the things that helped me out a lot is the fact that I came from a background where talking to people is normal, where making connections is normal, where networking is normal. I came from that background. I used to have my own business. I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And a lot of people ask me, was Coding After 30 my first YouTube channel? No, I have this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu channel that I had when I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at my school. And so even YouTube is something that's not super new to me. And again, I didn't use YouTube to, as a business. I used it as to bring awareness around my business, myself, and to show people that I'm an expert in my field. And I'm not saying you should definitely not go to this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu channel, but I'm just saying that I always believed in this idea that you need to know how to market yourself, you need to know how to build your network, and you need to know how to build a community where you're able to not only provide value, but you're also able to make connections that are going to help you find open doors to your goals much faster. Because if you are one person who's sitting at home randomly sending resumes to different jobs where they don't know you, your chances of getting a job is going to be very, very difficult. And one of the strategies that is starting to come into play for me is something that I did without knowing, which actually helped me get the job that I have now. I got a pretty excited, really cool job, and the way I got it, it's a combination of building a network, doing all the things that I'm going to talk about. But today we're going to talk about why it's important, why building a network is important, growing your community is very important. But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start with a basic argument. And this one is called 12 Things You Must Do to Get a Junior Web Developer Job in 2022. And what I'm going to say is that obviously learning to code, improving the skill, all that's important. Let me make this bigger here so you guys could see it. And again, I want you guys to interact with the chat. So if you guys have questions, let me know. I want to give you answers. But we're going to look at this article here. 12 things you must do to get a job as a junior web developer job in 2022. So they'll tell you all the benefits with a flexible job, blah, 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 lucrative, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll get to the steps, right? So number one, they have the obvious, build a portfolio site, obviously makes sense. Number two, do freelancing projects, makes sense. contribute to open source projects. That's kind of good one because it allows you to get yourself out there and then say that you contributed to projects that people know, which is kind of cool. Participate in hackathons. And I like that one a lot because I personally have not done any yet, but I like that because you're getting involved with a community, especially number 4, number 5, contribute to open source. That means you're working with a community, other developers, which is a great plus. Participate in hackathon, which is really cool. Notice how network with other web developers, very important, very important. If you want to have connections and have more opportunities to get hired, networking with other web developers is it's a plus. I told this story before and I'll tell this story again. So one day I decided to apply to IBM, and at the time, by the way, I didn't apply with my best version of my resume, which is okay, would have helped, maybe not, but I applied to IBM, and here's the story. So I sent blindly my application. I went to their website, put your resume here, I put my resume, I applied to IBM, and listen, IBM probably gets tens of thousands of resumes, and most of the time they don't know who you are. You're just a name on a piece of paper. They don't have a face. They have no idea who you are, and they probably have an automatic reader that goes really quickly through all the resumes and just takes those 10,000 resumes and hopefully gets them down to 1,000 resumes for mostly qualified people that somebody would even, like a human, would even look at. And so the idea being, my resume that I submitted was completely eliminated by the auto resume reader. So I would have never got a chance. So I would have never had a meeting. I would have never gotten an interview. So this is the funny part of the story. I actually have a friend working at IBM at the time. I think he still works there. And I told him my story. I said, listen, I tried to apply to IBM. I sent my resume and I didn't get the job. The first thing he said to me is like, Paul, why? Why did you not come to me? Because I could have took your resume, I could have went to our hiring manager and I would have presented them and I would have said, hey, I know Paul, he's really good at A, B, and C, and I think he'll be a great fit for this company. And he said to me, you might have not gotten the job, but you would have definitely gotten an interview to which you show up and do the process. And so here's the point. If I understood networking better, and I did, that's why it's kind of weird to me that I didn't reach out to him. I should have, maybe because I secretly didn't want to work for IBM, whatever. But the point that I'm saying, just by knowing him, knowing that he works IBM, I had like literally a magnitude of a chance of getting an interview rather than coldly sending out my resume. And this is why I tell you guys, networking is super important. Building connections is super important. We're going to talk more about it, and I'm going to give you examples of how I was able to get hired. And again, I'm being honest with you. I'm being truthful with you because I don't want you guys to get wrong information where so many people on YouTube tell you all these good things and maybe half of them don't even work as web developers or software engineers, right? And so And there's plenty of good channels, by the way. There's definitely a lot of things you could learn, but I just want to tell you, and when I talked to John Smilga about it, he said the same thing. The easiest way for you to get a job is to get a job from someone you know, or a reference, or a connections. And that's why that is the most crucial skill. And so we're looking at this article here showing, networking, and it's like number 6, and then it shows all these other skills. So one thing that I did, and it's kind of interesting, and I'll show you, we'll get there in a second, but let's look at, I already looked at this article. Here's another article here. Hold on, I don't even know which articles I have. This article, it's not even an article. Like, I'm randomly showing you stuff now, but I'll share an article in a second. Let me find it. So what I did here, I think it's blah, 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 blah. No, how to market yourself. We'll get to it. I have too many things open. Let me close some windows here. Here's the article that I thought was really cool. And this is not related to coding at all. But to me, this right here will, number one, will allow you to grow your network. It will allow you to get ahead. Actually, this is not the article, but this is a good article. Again, Here we go. Here we go. This is the one. 7 best strategies for marketing yourself. So this is what I want to talk about. As you're learning to code, as you're developing the skills, you cannot just wait and think that someone's going to show up and magically offer you a position. That's not how it works. Maybe if you already have experience, that makes things way easier. If you already have a CS degree or you have some accomplishments that showcase your authority in the field, then it's easier. But if you're just starting out, you're switching careers, you don't have a college degree or at least a college degree relevant in your field, which is still better than no degree, you need to somehow prove that you are able to do the work and you have the commitments and people are able to find you. So this article is not related to programming, but it's related to how to market yourself. And I'm just going to go through this list, and then I'm going to talk about this list, and then I'm going to use exactly the examples based on how my journey's been. And again, the only reason I'm telling you this because I don't want to, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did because there's no reason for me to tell you otherwise. And if you're happy with it, you're not happy with it, it's up to you to decide. But the point is, it's something that I just want to talk about because it is important. I'm not saying that you can't get a job without doing this. But I feel like if you're starting where nobody knows you, this is very, very important and information for you guys. And I'm going to tell you how I did all these steps without realizing. I did it out of passion, but weirdly, now that I look back at the job that I just got, and you could and by the way, all the things I'm telling you could fact check them, and because they're all on my YouTube channel, and you could see where these steps happened, and so that's kind of cool to watch too. And maybe somebody say my internet has buffering issues. Yeah, that might happen because I'm currently at a place with not the best internet, so I apologize for that. And hopefully it's not the worst experience for you guys, but we'll see. By the way, if you haven't smashed the like button, you don't have to. But if you feel bad for me and you want to smash the like button, you still don't have to. But if you like the content and you like the people that are in the chat, definitely go ahead, smash the like button for you. So here's the thing. So choose your niche, become an expert, educate, build the social media following, be inclusive, look for speaking opportunities, get to know people. And to me, this is coming from the blueprint Motley Fool is I don't even know what this website is, but to me these are very important steps, and I'm gonna break them down into programming and kind of explain to you why I feel. And again, you don't have to do any of this, but why this is a great strategy that will allow you to build authority when you don't have any. So a lot of people ask me, well, what should I do when I don't have a resume? What should I do when I don't have experience? What should I do? Well, do these steps, and I'm gonna put these in outline them in kind of my journey. Not one-to-one relationship, but just to kind of tell you. So you're looking to get a job as a developer. Number one, choose your niche. Let's say I want to be a React developer. I want to be a Next.js developer, or I want to be really good at C# or ASP.NET. Decide whatever technology that you have to learn. And I realized, no, I'm still sharing my screen. Yep, good. And decide what you need to learn to get the job. So choose your niche. You can't do everything. That's number one thing. You cannot do everything. So you need to choose your niche. And here, great, Wally. Let me share this and put this link in the chat here. I love it. And great to have you here, Wally. I would love to have you come in and chat. Love to hear about your progress. Great to see you. By the way, you're just a good dude to talk to, and you're so articulate, so I always love it. So definitely let me know if you ever want to come to the streams again. Would love to have you. But here's the thing: choose your niche, whatever it is. Identify what is going to be your way to break into the market. What's your tech? So I'm going to use React, and I'm going to particularly say one particular product that I've been using. And again, I didn't do this ahead of time. Right? I didn't so smart that I predict that this was going to happen. It's just interesting how my passion for a certain product helped me to eventually open up my door. So most of my application, if you watch my videos for a long time, a lot of times when I look to build a back end for my application, I use Strapi. I use Strapi.js, amazing service. I love it so much that all my projects, and literally for myself, nobody told me to do this, but the way I said it, like, if you could build it with Strapi, just build it with Strapi. So for me to build a custom backend, it would have to pass the test like, well, can I build it with Strapi? If so, I'm not going to try to build something from scratch. I'm just going to stand on the shoulders of giants. But that's irrelevant. What's important for this article is that I chose my niche. I chose Strapi and React. Those are the two technologies that I wanted to get better. And through all my videos, as you watch, all my projects that I've been building were using those technologies. Now, I didn't do this right away. So notice how in here it says become an expert, right? Whatever your niche is, you want to become an expert in that niche. So let me make it more apparent, like, right? Become an expert in your niche. So at first I started learning PHP, Ruby, every language out there. But what I realized is that you can't learn everything, and you need to make sure that you literally focus. You put blinders on yourselves, that you avoid distractions, and you move forward in one direction. So I chose my niche, React, JavaScript, and Node, and I also started using Strapi. And I became an expert not only because I built personal projects with Strapi, but my second job that I got, I actually recommended Strapi to my boss because I told him, look, with one developer, you could take your idea that you have and build out a complete full stack application, and then you could present it to your investors to see if it makes sense. And so it started as a POC, and then over time it grew, and now he ended up hiring more developers because they're like, hey, this is the product that we want to do. So I actually used Strapi in production, and I worked. And talking about, okay, so I know my niche, I know what I'm learning, and then talk about educate. I have this YouTube channel where I talk about my journey. I talk about using React, the thing that I want to be known for. I talk about using Strapi, the thing that I want people to know that I'm an expert at, or at least now it seems to be the case because I've been using it for a very long time. I built a pretty significant project with it at my last job before getting this job. And so I talk about and I educate people not only on my live stream, but I have a blog. I suck at writing, so I don't suck at writing because there's a thing called Grammarly, which you could basically write whatever. It'll help you to correct everything that it looks like a well-written piece and article, so no excuses there. I just, time-wise, easier for me to talk on a video than to blog. But the point is, you could write articles about what you're learning and showing things that you ran into that could be common issues that someone could face. And by posting articles on LinkedIn, by getting out there, you're literally branding yourself as a authority in your field. And this is why networking, getting yourself out there is very important. And most people as developers don't think about it because they're like, I'm not a marketer. I'm not. Fine, you're not a marketer, but how would somebody know about your expertise if there's no history online, right? And so for me, educate online through your blogs, post articles on LinkedIn. And even if it's not your stuff, like meaning like you found another helpful article, share it and be like, hey, this is the issue that I ran into. So start putting your name out there and build a social media following, right? I have YouTube my number one, but I recently joined Twitter. But again, whatever, that is up to you if you want to build a following, but at least what you want to do is build a connection. So I started on LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn obviously started being like very bland. And by the way, if you're going to build a social media following for you getting hired, it's making friends with other developers or hiring managers or recruiters on LinkedIn and keeping open conversation with them, asking questions like, hey, I went to this interview, I had this issue. What can I do better next time to help me make sure that I overcome that? And we'll talk more about it. Let me quickly look at the chat here. Yeah, and for sure, Anna, this is a great advice. Do freelancing projects for free or very cheap, and it's up to you. You don't even have to disclose it. And to get work experience to put on your resume, 100%. And if you could do that, that definitely helps to build your authority. But the idea that I'm saying is if someone Googles your name, what are they going to find? Like, right, you're on the steps of building a good kind of network and kind of building connections. If you're on LinkedIn, you have GitHub, you have a personal website. It doesn't have to be any fancy, but if someone goes on Google, right, you go to Google and you type your name, what's going to come up, right? Are you coming up as the developer that you want to be, right? This is the first thing that comes up. For me, Paul Braslavsky, it's my resume website, right? And so people right away get to see like what my intention, what I'm willing to do. So I'm making sure that you're able to find me on social, you're able to find some sort of presence and online to help me continue to share with the world what I'm doing, to help me continue build authority and put it out there in the world that, hey, this is what I'm doing. I am a web developer. Here's the projects that I'm doing. Like, let me just give you an example, guys. Let me give you an example, okay? Let me give you an example. This is going to be a stupid example, but I'm going to give it to you guys anyway. Let's say something cool happened to you today, right? Let's say something cool happened. You went outside and you found a penny and you picked it up and like, oh my God, this is like a penny from 1846. This is amazing. Like the coolest thing happened to you. And let's say you put it in your pocket, you went on your day and you never told anybody. How would anybody know that something cool happened to you? How would they know? They wouldn't, right? And so the point is why self-promoting, marketing, networking, building relationships with people on LinkedIn, other developers is important, because you have to share with them what you're doing. You might not be in a position to be hired now, right? But you will be in a position to get hired later. So I'm going to tell you another story. So my last job that I had as a React developer, it is very interesting how I got the job. So 5 years ago, I was still on my journey learning to code. At that time, I was really focused into WordPress and I wasn't doing any React. Right, I was just working with WordPress. I was just doing that, like helping to customize themes, right? And somebody at my jiu-jitsu class came up to me and they're like, "Hey, Paul, like I know you're doing like WordPress stuff. Like I don't need a WordPress developer, but I'm looking for a good React developer. Do you know anybody? Do you know any good React developers out there?" I'm like, you know what? By the way, my friend Jeff, he's really good at React. Let me connect you guys two together. And so I connected Jeff and this other person, and I connect them together, whatever, Jeff and Dave. I'll use their real names, not like, the last names. I connected them together, and Jeff basically got hired to build their initial application. 45 years later, I've already worked at a company as a React developer. I kind of improved myself as a developer. And Jeff knows me. He knows that I could do the work. Jeff actually reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, Paul, like we need extra help at David's company. Would you want to come on and work for David?" And so notice how I made to help one connection 5 years ago, that 5 years later, well, it was 4 years later, whatever, like it came back to me, right? And I was the first person in mind, because Jeff knew that I've already worked as a React developer. He saw my projects. He knew what I'm capable of. I was also the person that recommended David to him. And so he felt like, you know what? You'll be the first person that I much rather recommend to David to start working as a React developer. And guess what? I got hired. And so this is where the power of networking comes in, where you can't underestimate where your next opportunity is going to come from, right? And so coming back to the article, like that is not for developers that we were looking at, and let me turn down my audio a little bit and take a look at it quickly. I moved stuff on my screen, so I have no idea where stuff is. And so, choose a niche, become an expert, educate people, build a social network, LinkedIn. If you have like blogging, put a blog out, share on LinkedIn. If you like making videos like I do, make a video, be inclusive, involve everybody, be friendly, whatever. Look for speaking opportunities. And this is so funny because like people, when they think of like look for speaking opportunities, they're like, well, how would I find a speaking opportunity? Like, I don't know anybody, And so what's weird, early on in my career, like I would reach out to like cool like YouTube channels where, here, look at this. I was invited to, this is like 11 months ago. There's one that's even older, where I showed up at Coding Foundry and talked about my experience learning to code. Before, like, you know, I had even that many subscribers. So, like, again, I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm saying there are opportunities. And so by working on, where's that article again? By working on marketing yourself, building awareness will help you. And if somebody says to me, like, well, what are you getting with this? Like, what's the point? What are you trying to say to us, Paul? The point is coming. The point that I just want to show you in steps is that I'm showing you that you cannot just blindly send out your resume. If you're having a hard time getting hired, yes, you could do what everybody does. Or you could take that. By the way, all of this takes work. All of this is hard. It's not easy. It takes time. It takes commitment, and it's not guaranteed. But what I'm saying is that if you don't have a college degree, you switch degrees, you're nobody. What you need to do is you need to build a reputation. Like, let me go on Google for a second. Just do like a interesting thing here. Like what's going to happen? Other people are eventually going to start talking about you, which is going to add authority to what you do. And I just want to do a curious test here. Let's see here. This is from a while ago. Look at this. Here's interesting is this is from my previous job, but I just want to show you. So that's me long time ago. Connecticut, Hoist Gracie, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA. Congratulations, Paul Barsovsky, getting his purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This was like, what, 7-8 years ago? That's 2009. And look, someone quoted, when asked about Paul Barsovsky, Jason said, Paul is one of the most technical instructors I have ever met and had the pleasure to train with. I'm lucky to have him as a training partner. He's one of the best children's instructors too that I've ever seen, blah, 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 blah. And again, I'm not showing you this to be like, hey, look at me, how cool I am. The point that I'm saying it, if you focus on marketing, eventually what's going to happen, you're not going to be the only one talking about yourself. And you're going to have other people that are going to start mentioning you, and you're going to start to be on top of people's minds as a, if you make content about React and, Strappy in my case that I've been doing, and I'll get to it. This is a big circle that's taking me forever to get there because half the time I have no idea what I'm talking about. But the point that I'm saying is that if all you do is learn to code and you sit in your basement or wherever you are, probably a nice home, I'm so judgmental sometimes, and you're sending your resume blindly and you're not trying to make connections, you're not trying to identify pain points that companies, this is a very important question. Did you train with Hoist? Yeah, Hoist was one of my original instructors. So I got my brown belt from Hoist, and then eventually, due to some serious stuff that I will talk to you in person because it's an amazing story, jiu-jitsu wise, but it's like drama like you wouldn't believe, and so I ended up leaving Hoist, not because of Hoist, but like other reasons, and joined Master Marcio Stambowski, and then I got my black belt from him. But yeah, I'm still on good terms, and now I'm in Connecticut. I have a bunch of friends that have Hoist Gracie schools, so I go say hello to them. But yeah, that was like amazing stuff. But anyway, talked about, putting yourself out there, marketing yourself is very important because you want to not let other people decide how they're going to talk about you, but you have to put yourself out there. And again, most people right now that are watching this video just like, get the hell out of here, Paul. I'm not going to do all this extra work. Like, what are you talking? And you don't have to, right? You don't have to do any of this stuff. But one trend I saw, which is kind of interesting that I'm going to talk about. So I used to follow a lot of coding YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers out there that had amazing coding channels, and then all of a sudden they don't put as much content. And I was wondering, like, what happened? What happened to them? Like, where did they go? And so what happened is that they used YouTube to build authority, to get themselves out there, and they started getting up, and it doesn't have to be YouTube. It could be posting stuff on LinkedIn. It could be posting stuff on your blog, whatever. And eventually that opened up and helped them make connections, because while they were doing YouTube, they were networking. People were like, YouTube is a search engine. So when people type web development or whatever, they might stumble on your video, and and it doesn't have to be crazy, and they're going to find you. And so you'll be surprised how many job opportunities I got from bringing awareness to what I'm doing on YouTube. And I will make a case in point. Trust me, if you stick to the end, the story has
end. It eventually gets to where I'm going with this. But self-marketing, building connections, networking is super important. Obviously, you need to know what you're doing. You need to understand like coding. But if you don't market yourself, if you don't make networking, if you don't reach out to people, you don't actively try to make connections, how would somebody know that you're trying to even break into the field and get a job? And one thing I would say is that you can't do it by just going on LinkedIn being like, help me get a job, help me get a job. That doesn't work. You need to provide some sort of value. You can't just take. You have to give. And giving, it could be the content that you create. And so coming back to like what I've been doing without even realizing on my YouTube channel is that eventually I chose a niche, React and Strapi. I became an expert by constantly talking about React and Strapi all the time. I would educate people on, my YouTube channel by telling you stuff about at least the programming stuff. And, I talk about on LinkedIn, and eventually doing all this stuff, talking about what I'm doing and networking, I was able to get connected to John Smilga. Like some of you guys know him, Coding Addict channel. Amazing place here. So let me go here. Coding Addict. So I met John Smilga here, Coding Addict, and eventually and he has a lot of great videos, so go check him out. But eventually, like, long story short, is that eventually, after many months, we had this great idea to start doing a live stream. And this is the first ever live stream. I can't skip the ad because I'm not playing it.
Starting a new career.
First ever live stream that we did. And so this was like the birth of growing my network, growing my guys. Here's my fat head. Here's me with John Smilga. And we started doing a live stream, right? Just for fun. We didn't have any intention. I didn't even realize how this could help me eventually, right? And so, but I was getting out there. I was making connections. And yes, the stream will eventually be restarted. And lol, and I'm just gonna say hi here. Nice. Oh man, Connecticut here as well. Not many repping this tiny state. Yeah, represent Connecticut for sure. And then and eventually we will restart. He has a lot of family stuff going on. All good. And so like after that's done, we'll restart the stream for sure. But anyway, I didn't have any big plans. I didn't realize that this was going to be something. And then every stream that we do and everything, my stream, I'm always talking about React. I'm always talking about Strapi, my passion about the projects that I'm working. I'm doing and building projects. No one's paying me for that, by the way. I'm doing it because I love it. I'm passionate about coding. And you could probably tell from like the way I talk about how passionate about all this stuff. And here's a great example. Man, awesome. I know you from John's streams. And here's a way where, you were able to find me, not because of my channel, but because I made an appearance on John's stream. And this is kind of interesting because that's about constantly trying to build your network, constantly trying to be vocal about what you're doing, being public with what you're doing, posting about it on LinkedIn, Twitter, what have you. And so eventually we had this happen. And this led to us having this episode. Again, I've never asked for this episode. I never planned for this episode. It just happened because John was like, man, Paul talks about Strapi all the time. I'm going to get someone for Strapi because I know Paul's going to have a lot of fun talking on that interview. I think because he loves Strapi so much, I think he's going to just love engaging and chatting. So we had Daniel on from Strapi, cool dude, and we just chatted about Strapi. We talked about it, and I just had so much fun on the stream. And weirdly, like, John was kind of kidding with me, like in the past, like, Paul, you already talk about Strapi so much, you love Strapi so much, all your projects involve Strapi, you always tell people how good it is. And the reason why I say this is because I believe in Strapi. It's a really awesome project. And so, like I said, all my projects, even to this day, if you could build it with Strapi, build it with Strapi, unless there's some sort of custom thing that you can't. And for me, like if you need a CMS and you're going to be using Node anyway, Strapi, like you're already there. And so, but that's besides the point. And so we had this live stream where we talked to Daniel, and we had fun, and at the end, like, Daniel mentioned, oh, by the way, we're hiring at Strappy, blah, 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 and I was like making a joke. Hey, you said it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send my resume to Strappy. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to mention you, Daniel. I'm going to say, you said to me that you're hiring and that, I should send a resume. And he's like, yeah, sure, don't worry. And you know what? What I did, I followed up. I did exactly that. I went ahead and I sent my resume to Strappy. Again, first of all, I didn't even know if they were going to even see me, but I applied. I sent my resume. I used Daniel as a reference because we met through the live stream. And eventually, I got an invitation to have our first interview. And the first interview led to the second interview, third interview, and so on and so on and so on. After many, many interviews, I was able to get a job offer. And so I'm going to be working at Strappy. And so the reason why I say this, because I'm still in this belief, but this idea of marketing yourself, promoting yourself, getting yourself out there is what got me to this place. And I will tell you that there's definitely a lot of luck involved, but also the preparation and the fact that I talked about the stuff that I was learning. It happened to be Strappy. I was very passionate about it. I was so passionate about it that I wanted to be an expert with React and Strappy. And I made it known to all of you guys who watch my YouTube channel. You're not surprised how much I love Strappy. That is just the fact of life. And so here is a way that I demonstrated how, and again, the only reason I talked about my experience because I'm a real dude. You see the history of my YouTube. You could look and see everything. And you see me evolve and progress through my career. And I'm using myself as an example because I'm not just talking about stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that I'm doing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And the reason why I share this with you is because I want you guys to see that it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of effort. But at the same time, if nobody knows who you are, how are they supposed to know that you're the right fit for their company? So to quickly summarize, and definitely guys, if you have questions or you want to add to the conversation, I would love to hear from you guys. I do this live stream half the time because I'm lonely and I need someone to talk to, so it's kind of nice to have you guys here. So don't be shy, say stuff in the comments, let's have a chat, let's have a talk about it. And so the number one crucial skill we got from some business article, which is how to build yourself as authority in your field and how to start to move forward in order to increase your chances of getting hired. I'm not saying you should do these things. I'm just saying that you could see how I did these things without even knowing I was doing them until after the fact, because I was just so passionate about what I was doing. But it's the stuff that now I'm like, oh my God, if people only knew, get out there. Don't wait for other people to find you. Help people to find you by being vocal, getting involved in the community, knowing you're out there. So choose your niche. Let's say it's ASP, with C# and Angular. Start, learning, building project just with ASP and C# and Angular. The reason I'm saying that because I talk about React and Strappy so much, or React and Node, whatever, that I'm going to use that as an example. Through building projects without straying, without trying to do a bunch of different stuff, just sticking to C#, ASP.NET, and Angular, say you're going to eventually become an expert by educating people, by posting articles on LinkedIn, what you're learning, and really micro blogging. Don't write big, huge posts, really simple, hey, I had this problem. Here's what I did. By the way, here's a link to an article that helped me solve it. And just get out there, sharing what you're doing, sharing your projects, build your social media on LinkedIn with people who are C# and Angular developers. I'm just using that example. I'm a big React and Node and JavaScript guy, so I talk about React all the time. Let me give you a different example. So build a social following on LinkedIn, reach out to people, share your project, understand when you apply to companies, know the stuff they're building, so you could ask them well, what some of the things you're running into, I know that you're building this type of application. Here's what I've done that is very similar and relevant to that. Be inclusive, basically means don't be shy. Don't exclude people. You never know when you're going to get a connection. you might not be able to find a speaking opportunity where you stand on the stage. Who cares? But you could talk in groups. There's many groups where people talk, like developers meetups. You could find Twitter spaces. You could talk. You could bring yourself out there on, being part of the comments in LinkedIn and talk about, hey, check this out. I did this project. You might find it helpful. And most importantly, get to know people. Like generally build connections with other developers, other people to whom you could provide value by sharing what you're learning. They might not know certain things, right? And maybe you don't know certain things. And by working together, you're literally able to stand on each other's shoulders to help to take what works versus what doesn't and help you move ahead. And so here's an article from a business magazine that actually outlined my journey as a developer to getting this particular job. And so, man, that was a lot. And, again, I don't care if people watch my live streams or don't. I care that I am honest about what I've done to help me get hired, because I never want you guys to think like I'm just blowing smoke up your bums because I just want to be on YouTube and I want to be a YouTube personality. I don't really care. Like there's a type of content that works on YouTube. I don't care about making that content. What I want to do is just tell you exactly what I'm doing, the mistakes I'm making, the things that works, the things that don't work, and you pick and choose what you want to do. But I'm a guy, and I've been open with everything that I do on this channel, so please don't spam me, guys. Please don't spam me. Please don't send me hate mail. I always use my real name. You're able to find me on LinkedIn. You're obviously able to find me on here. You know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not hiding my reputation. You know where I work. You know where I had worked. You know what I'm studying. You see my journey so I am literally documenting my process of going from many, many years ago from not knowing anything to being where I am today and eventually getting this amazing job with Strappy, which is still blowing my mind. And the reason why I tell you this is that the most important thing you could do is to get involved in the community that you want to be part of, the type of job you want to get. If you want to be a React and JavaScript developer, find those communities on LinkedIn and forums, whatever, Discord, join, build legitimate connections where you're not just saying, get me a job, get me a job, get me a job, but you're providing a value. You're sharing something with them. And over time, you're going to start to be, mentioned by other people. Hey, like Paul said this on LinkedIn that was kind of helped me to do this. And all of this takes time. But let me tell you, if you had to choose, let's say, blindly sending out resumes, and again, maybe if you have an amazing college degree and you got like all A's and you're like the super smartest person in the world and whatever, probably none of this matters. But for me, like switching careers, or for you, if you're self-taught developer looking to break into the field, where would you much rather be? Do you want to be that person that just codes, doesn't share anything, and then blindly sends his resume to random companies without knowing people that work there that could say, hey, Paul's a good developer, he'll be great here, without people giving recommendations, without doing this stuff? Or do you want to be that person who's coding, but also doing that extra work of getting themselves out there and building a network, building a connection, and starting to bring value to the communities by providing valuable content? And by doing that, you will get noticed and you will get the return. And just like I outlined my journey, how I went from everything I did to where I am today, it's literally the fact that I put marketing, I put getting to know people and building connections at the forefront of my development journey. Why? Because we don't live in a silo. We live with other people. We live, in a social community. So by knowing how to network, how to engage with people, how to, provide value that everybody wins, that will make you part of the community, and that community is going to make it easier for you to get to your goal, to get to your job. And I can't stress that enough. And so I had like a weird t-shirt made. I don't know where it is. It's probably too far in. But here, actually, hold on a second. So here's my motto. It's I don't know if you'll see it. It says grumpy devs don't get hired, right? And so to me, like, by being friendly, by being, interacting with people, being social, by being part of the community, being likable, it all helps. It really does, because people want to work with people they like. So if you build your network, you work with a community, you're adding to that community, you're helping out, you're answering questions, you're getting involved, that's all going to help you. And I hope you guys who've been part of my channel from the start or just joined like, you could see that I'm literally some dude online who talks about my journey without like sugarcoating anything, without like trying to sell you stuff by being like, oh, I make blah blah blah, I drive this type of car, look at all this like drone. No, I just talk about exactly what I'm doing, because I don't have time to pretend to be someone I'm not. So I'm just showing you myself how I am, and you could literally see the history of my evolution from my first videos I've done on YouTube all the way to where I am. When I first started YouTube, I had no job. I was trying to get hired. I was doing, like, trying to figure out what to do. And over time, over span of 4 years, 5 years, now I'm able to be at a position where I am today, where now it's much easier to get a job because I have experience, I have authority, I build up this social network. I have a lot of recruiters now that are reaching out to me, and that all took time. And so when I say the most critical skill you could have as a developer is by being able to, and I don't want to say market yourself, but being able to put yourself out there, let the world know that you exist, and bring value to the community on LinkedIn, to community on Twitter, through blogging. And there was an excellent video that Firebase put out. No, Firebase. God damn it, YouTuber. Who's that YouTuber? I'll find it. He put a really good video. I'm actually going to share it with you guys. I think it's how to get hired web developer. Why is his name something fire like what, like his name, his website? God damn it. Somebody put that guy's name. He makes the 100-second videos. Somebody put that in the chat for me. Yeah, let me just kind of see while someone thinks of, like, is it Firebase? No, Firebase. What am I thinking about? I'll find his channel. Hold on, now it's bothering me. Fireship. That's right, Fireship. He's the Fireship. How to get hired, Fireship. Watch his video. I think it's really good, and it's really down to earth and is very relevant, and he doesn't talk about the hype. So I'm going to share it. You guys could check it out later. I'll put it here just to kind of help you guys understand that part of getting a job is not just learning to code, but it's being able to present yourself in a way which helps you have a easier chance to being discovered. And to get discovered happens by putting yourself out there. And a lot of people, what stops them is that they are afraid of failure. And let me tell you, the only reason I'm not afraid of failure at this point, because I failed so many times in life that to me, that's just like a normal state in my mind. But I'll tell you this, the hardest thing to do is to put yourself out there publicly when you're starting out and when you're going to make mistakes and where people are going to judge you. But who cares? You need to start. You need to do it. And the consequence of not putting yourself out there, consequence of not trying to stand out and self-promote yourself, even if it's like sharing projects that people are going to not like at first or whatever. That's what I did. Like, people, when I first started this channel, like, I had no idea what I was talking about. And so here's another story. And I'm not going to say whose name this is, but this is a person who just recently, he watches our channel. He just recently got a job. And this is what he said to me. He said he's been getting so many no's, like every time he interviews or every time he's trying to do something, like rejected. And he literally told me, he's like, my God, like, if it wasn't watching your content and staying motivated, I probably would have quit. And he told me this right after, like he told me that he just got hired as a developer. So he literally said to me, he's like, my God, like I was ready to quit. I was going to quit. I was going to stop, right? I just said, quit it. It's not for me. And literally, if he quitted that day, the next day when he got hired, he would have never get to that opportunity. So the fact that he didn't stop, he kept going, like he got hired. And I was like, oh my God, if you quit literally the day before Thursday, you would be unemployed developer. But the fact that you didn't, so a lot of people, they literally, I think, quit right before the thing that's going to happen, that's going to change their lives. And he literally told me it changed my life. It's amazing. And so guys, like, enough of me, like, ranting and talking whatever. This idea of self-promotion, putting yourself out there is so important. And I showed you by example how it helped me to get to where I am today. So let this be a case study. I'm not saying you have to do everything I say you have to do. I don't have a course to sell you on it, right? I'm sure some of you are going to go find the course. You don't need a course. You just need to put yourself out there. You need to go and promote yourself, share your projects, be part of the community, build a community, find meetups in your local area, and build relationships with real people that could put a face to your name. When I sent that resume to IBM the first time, there was no person. It was just a piece of paper that a auto reader just went through, didn't see the things they liked because IBM gets 10,000 resumes, and they just threw it out. They threw it out, right? They didn't even give me a chance, and I would have never got a chance because that was a piece of paper that blindly landed on their auto resume reading machine that was impersonal. It had no face attached to it. It had nobody it's literally, they just swiped right or swiped left, whatever. I don't know those apps. So whatever they can, they just, who cares? Versus what my friend told me. He said, Paul, why did you randomly send your resume? If you would have sent your resume to me, I would have hand walked it to our hiring manager. I would have been like, hey, Paul's a great dude. This is the projects he's done. I think he'll be a great addition to our team. And I would have presented the resume. At least you would have gotten an interview. He's like, at least you would have been able to have a face-to-face where you at least would have gotten a chance. And most of us, because we just use the resume shotgun approach, we don't try to build a community. We don't try to be part of the community. We don't try to, and I know it's hard. It's hard. By the way, like, the way I'm able to speak so easily, it's because I had many, many years of practice. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen overnight. By the way, a lot of people say, oh, your public speaking is so natural. I've been public speaking for like 20 years. There's nothing natural about that, right? If you look at someone who has 20 years of public speaking, you're going to be like, damn, like, it's not natural. When I first started, there's a guy, Brian, who's I went to MCC, Manchester Community College with, and we both were in the same public speaking class. And he'll tell you, like, I took that class and I don't even know how I passed. Like, it wasn't natural to me. So everything is a skill that you work to develop. So long story short, but way longer than it needs to be, don't be shy about getting out there. Don't be shy about moving forward. Doesn't matter if people judge you. Work on promoting yourself, building connections, building relationships, because from all my jobs that I got, they all were based off someone either telling me about the opportunity or referring me to that opportunity. And let that stick. I know it's not what people want to hear, but it's all my jobs that I had, they all came from me having relationship with other people. I know that people think I could do like a solo entrepreneur, I could do whatever I want. Like, no, we live in a society with other people. And so people will want to work with people that they know, they like. And so if you build those personal connections, you get out there, you will increase your chances. So with that being said, let's open it to questions. Let's take a look. My one question here. Paul, what's the minimum pay for junior React developers? And honestly, you're asking the wrong person, because my first job when I got hired as a React developer was $13.75 an hour. This is basically what I would make at a supermarket doing shopping for people. And I know this because I used to work at a supermarket shopping for people, and that's how much I got paid. So I got paid $13.75 an hour. This was a long time ago, like 4.5 years ago. And so the story there is that I was willing to work for that little because at the time I valued experience and gaining experience more than my income. But if I would say that normally, like, you will at least get double that, so you don't have to sell yourself short. That's something that I did. I was definitely undervalued, but at the same time, my boss would never fire me because he had a React developer for $13.75. How can you go wrong with that? But by the way, I learned, React better. I learned while working there. I learned C# and working with ASP.NET, which I don't do now. But I learned new things. It was like literally like I was part of a boot camp that I was getting paid for. So I'm not saying look for jobs that don't pay much. Like, you have to have a line. But for me at that time, I was like, look, let me do what I need to do. So experience is definitely more than the pay, especially your first year working, because your second and third job, believe me, it's going to jump your income in ways that you don't anticipate. And yes, there's plenty of articles on Glassdoor where you could see what the average salary is and people make. By the way, let's, if you guys have any questions, I think I made my point. So while he codes, let's talk about, I like your question. So TikTok is basically, I wouldn't do it. So any developers that make it work, that's great for him or her or them. What I would say for developers, in my opinion, YouTube, because it's searchable, is basically something that allows you to pull out content and people actually find it. And that's how people could be introduced to you. LinkedIn, obviously, like Alex mentioned, and Twitter. So literally, those are the things that I used to have. Instagram, I don't really care about Instagram. I used to have Facebook, I don't really care about Facebook. I literally just use LinkedIn because that's where you find people who are able to hire you. You're able to find recruiters. You're able to follow companies. By the way, I didn't mention this, but follow companies on LinkedIn. And whenever they post stuff, make a comment. Be like, hey, wow, like, this is awesome. I love this change. I just implemented it in my project, blah, 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 blah. You could check out the code here. Like, be involved in the community. So LinkedIn, for sure, is super important. YouTube is super important. And Twitter is really important. I hate Twitter. I hate Twitter like you wouldn't believe. But because so many tech people are on Twitter, and now you have Twitter Spaces where you could have discussions with people, that is huge. So for me, Twitter, if I had to put them in order, it would be YouTube. Okay, YouTube for me is so if I was a regular person, I would say LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. For me, it's YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, right? But it's still those three things. So I would say those are the most important things. And also being part of forums and Discord. Like, there's a lot of companies that have Discord servers available. So if you have a company that you want to work for, or you like the stuff that they do, you could join their Discord, join their community, and post valuable content. That's one way to stand out for sure. So yep. Yeah, there's a lot of people that pull like cool stuff, cool content, really like these like micro posts, as I call them, just straight to the point, really brief, like picture that describes the thing that you want to do. It's amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of people to follow. But more importantly, it's what I would say is that once you decide what your community is, what you want to do, get out there. Like and if you're jumping in late, guys, by the way, you could rewatch this live stream. I always leave these open. And again, like, why should you listen to me? Because I'm literally just talking about what I'm doing. I'm some dude on the internet. Obviously, today I'm wearing a shirt, so probably you think I'm smarter than I am. But I'm the dude on the internet who started a YouTube channel a long time ago, talked about his journey, being jobless, not working as a developer, to where I am today. I'm not selling any courses to you guys. I don't make any money off this YouTube. And half the time I don't post on YouTube like I want to, because my job is more important to me and I'm busy doing stuff for work. But I still like chatting with you. I still like to come here on YouTube and share with you guys, because one thing, it's like we all need to do something good for the universe. And if I could talk about the mistakes that I made, or talk about the strategies that have helped me to get hired, I'm going to tell you about them, because if it saves you time, mission accomplished. By the way, if you're just joining us and you haven't smashed the like button, you don't have to. You don't have to. But if you'd like to, because you like what we do here, you like the people that are in the chat, or you just feel like, you know what, let me like, that guy looks funny, let me put the like for that. Go ahead and like, but you don't have to. And so, yeah, let's open it to questions. If you're just joining in, we talked about the most important crucial skill you need to get hired. You could always rewatch the stream, but we're now in our questions and answers. If you want to ask a question to some random dude who now is a random dude who works as a software engineer about anything, this is the time to do it. Don't be shy. I do these live streams because I really want to engage with you. It doesn't matter who you are. Even if you're a hater, like somebody disliked the video, great. Let me know why so I could do it better next time. You know what I mean? To me, honestly, I just want to engage with you guys. I want to chat with you guys. I want to know what you guys are going through. I want to know what struggles you're having, because honestly, the world already has so much terrible stuff going on. I just want to be and leave a positive message and have a positive community where people come in. We don't talk anything negative. We just talk about what can we do to get ahead? What can we do to have our lives better? Here's the thing, if I ask 10 people out of 10, what are you not happy about? All 10 people are going to say something they're not happy about. So there's so much negativity in the world. So the 3 requirements for my community. Number 1, it's be positive, right? Say nice things and lift people up, because there's already too many people that bring people down. Number 2, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all equal. I'm not some expert. You might know more than I do. And we have plenty of examples where people come in and they share something that I didn't even know, and they bring value. So number 2, be part of the conversation, and whatever question you ask, or if you have a suggestion, or don't be afraid of bringing value to the community. And number 3, whatever things that work for you, even if I don't say it, mention it in the comment, because maybe it's something I haven't done. Share it with the community, help everybody grow. And so that's the prerequisites. That's what I want people to be part of. And let's see what stuff people are saying. Yeah, blah, blah. I'm just going to put that out there. Not even going to read it. I'm though still some random dude. Thanks, Alex. I'm some random dude still. Hey, Engine Boy. How you doing? I'm doing good. Good to see you, man. I can't complain. I don't know. It'll be like Fangs. It would be Fangs. I don't really... Listen, this is why I'm excited about where I work out now, is because I actually genuinely love the product. I use it all the time, and I'd be doing it regardless if I work there or not. And the fact that I got hired there, blows my mind. I literally, gonna cry. It's just insane. I genuinely love the thing that I'm doing. I spent so much time doing it. I recommend it to everybody else. All my projects are built with Strappy. And then now it's you get to work at Strappy. Oh my God. That's exciting. So for me, I just so happy that I'll be doing what I've already been doing, and, and helping to continue to do what I'm doing, except officially. That is just fantastic. Blows my mind. And again, the reason how I got there, you could rewatch this whole stream. I'm not going to repeat, but I'm just going to say, getting out there, building a social network, not being afraid of failure by being scared that someone will judge you when you try to put stuff out there. Be involved in that community. Very important. Like I said, we live in the world where we live in the society. So you need to be social and get socially involved. Some people, they're very introverted. Some people are extroverted. I get it. But you don't have to go all out. You don't have to, you just need to be part of find the community that you like, in the product that you believe, become the expert, share what you're doing, educate others while you're building projects, while you're looking to get a job, and you're going to get there. And I know that to someone who just jumped in, they're like, oh, you just said a bunch of nonsense. No, we just spent an hour talking about it, in ways using me as a case study, how I got to where I got to now. And there's a lot of great gems in the stream. So if you're on late, I'm not going to delete this. You'll be able to check it out. But right now we're talking about questions. So, okay, nobody's asking questions. Nobody cares. Like everybody's got everything figured out. If you guys don't have questions, somebody tell me a story. Come on. Don't be shy. We got like a bunch of you guys in the chat. Some of you guys gotta do something. You know, like don't be shy. Like whatever questions you have, ask those questions. Oh, Alex, are you there, Alex? Alex, this is look, Alex, look at this, Alex. Oh my God, Alex, look, Alex. Yeah, people are like, Paul is crazy. What the hell is he talking about? Alex knows. Alex knows what I'm talking about. Alex gets it. So my first job that I got hired, they didn't give me a computer. Alex's first job, he got hired, he got a computer. So there's a little bum hurt, you know. I'm like, Alex gets a computer. I don't get a computer. You know? What the heck? What the heck, Alex? And then sure enough, now I get a computer. I am at Alex status. Alex got a job and Alex got a computer. I got a job. Granted, it's my third job and got a computer. My first and second job, I had to buy my own goddamn computer. You know what I mean? I did anyway because what am I going to do? Not code? I'm still going to code, so it was nice. It's nice. It's great. So I got 2 computers now. Yes. Finally, mission accomplished. But hey, listen, everybody, quickly, ask some questions. All right, Engine Boy. My first job, no computer for Paul. My second job, no computer for Paul. My third job, finally. But Alex, he got his computer the first job he got, apparently. No, so there's many companies, and by the way, actually in a lot of places you will get a computer. Not guaranteed, but a lot of people, they just want you to keep everything secure. So sometimes you might work through a VPN connection and you will have only your work stuff on that computer, and that makes sense. So you're not getting a computer for like personal use, you're getting a computer for work use. And so for me, this is kind of great because I want to do my job on my computer. You son of a gun, Alex. You son of a gun. I was just happy that I got a computer. I wasn't going to milk my company for everything else. And a monitor. A monitor I bought myself. My mouse I bought myself. My headphones I bought used headphones. Listen, we all can't be as cool as you, Alex, all right? I'm just glad I got a computer. They asked me, but I already have a mouse. I already have a keyboard. So I figured I don't need like 2 mice and 2 keyboards. Like I don't got like, what am I going to do? Like type with 2 hands? And Engine, I love that, boy. Engine Boy, I love the question. Paul, what's the progress of your team app? We're working on it. It's kind of coming along great. So I moved it to community1project.com. So like actually, yeah, and this is what we're building on Tuesday. This is built with Strappy. Hold on. Did I move it? Hold on a second. Something's happening. Let me go to my Netlify. Yeah, but the progress is coming. I want to see if it's... I might have broke it last time I worked on it. Let me double check. Because I think I moved... the... Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it still works. So here, I'll share it. Here it is. I don't think I added like any new features yet, but here, and I'm not gonna locally run it here, but we're making progress. I don't think I pushed, so we have full CRUD functionality. I think I pushed the full CRUD functionality changes. Let me take a look here. So here's the application we're building. It's gonna be a team manager. Let me see if I could log in. I've been like, we're going to continue working on this. So once you logged in, basically you have access for teams. The teams are actually coming from our Strappy backend. So now whenever you're able to create a team, we have users. So right now the basic idea is we got full implementation of CRUD with teams. So, and I didn't push those changes yet. Because we still have to refactor some stuff. So but just use your imagination. We're able to create a team, we're able to edit team, and we're able to delete and update the team. Actually, let's see if I could open it quickly. GitHub. Actually, I have some work GitHub stuff. Hold on a second. Sometimes it automatically comes up. I just want to see if I push the branch. Yeah, but the project is doing good. So we got full CRUD functionality going for the teams. Basically, the last thing we have to add is to get sign up to work. And what I want to do when someone signs up, I want them to receive an email saying, welcome to blah, blah, blah. It's nice to have you here. You're part of this team. So that's kind of working, but I just want to see here. Yeah, so I don't even have the branch here. It might still be at my local computer. Yeah, but yeah, we got full. Nice. Engine Boy says he's got his bug tracker project is 50% done. By the way, Engine Boy, if you ever want to come on the live stream, and by the way, anybody here, listen, if one of the best ways to practice for interviewing is to actually demonstrate your project or what you're working on and answer questions about your projects. Like, what did you do here? Why did you do it? So not like a project review where I just talk about your project, because you're not going to benefit if I just talk about your project, be like, oh, you could do this differently. But if you guys want to come on a live stream and where you come on and you demonstrate and showcase your project and you talk about what you did, and I could ask you questions about your code, you guys could come on and we could talk about it. And I think it'll be good practice for all of you guys, because you guys will be able to practice talking about your code, and it will help you to build that confidence, be able to talk about your code to somebody else like you would in an interview. So let me know if you guys want to do it. If you do want to come into a live stream and talk about your project, I'll give you my email, codingafter30@gmail.com. Send me an email and we could talk about your project. But I think that, by the way, yeah, this is actually good. Like, I'm glad we started talking about projects. So every Tuesday I do a stream where I'm building my team managing app. I'm using React and Strappy. No surprise for anybody else. And so if you want to talk direct about code and see kind of how I do stuff, and I make mistakes, right? I refactor a lot, whatever, and it's all normal. And the reason why I do it live on a Tuesday night live stream, because I want people to kind of see the reality of coding, what it's really like. It's not like people just sit down and code Facebook. It takes time. You run into weird bugs that take forever to solve. But what I like this idea on Tuesday nights or Saturday nights, whatever, anybody that wants to come on and kind of go over their project with me. And when I say go over, you show me your project, you show it in action, you show it working, you show the code, and I get to ask you questions about, well, why did you do this? Not also like for me to learn about your project, but also to give you guys an opportunity to basically practice talking about your code. And if you missed the live stream, it was an excellent live stream. I did it with Luke, where he came on. He brought on his C# application, and we were able to dive into the code, and he was able to talk about it and showcase, what he was doing, which was like really awesome. And I think it's going to be a great learning experience for everybody, because the more you practice talking about code, the more confident you're going to be at an interview. And by the way, when I got hired at my current job, they had me build a project, and then they had me basically do a kind of, what is it called, follow-up meeting, or like I forgot what the meeting was called, but basically they had me come in and they had me talk about my code. They had me demonstrate the project I did, what I did, why, like my thought behind it. They even asked me questions like, after like doing what you did, how would you do it differently? And I told them some of the issues I had, which in the time that I had allocated, I wasn't able to figure out, so I didn't do them at that time. But if I were to do it again, those are the things that I would do differently. And so basically, by building the project and being able to talk about it comfortably, you kind of showing people who are asking you questions that you actually know what you're talking about. And so for me, if you want to get practice, and invitation is open, send me an email at codingafter30@gmail.com. And I would love to have you guys in the live stream to talk about your project. So any questions? You guys, I know you guys want to talk. You guys are like, it's okay. You guys don't have to talk. I get it. But I just always want to say this community is for you guys. It's open and for questions from you. Like, don't be shy. Ask what you like, whatever you like. There's no silly questions, at least on this live stream. There's no silly questions. There are silly questions, but not on this live stream. So if you have any questions or you're struggling with something, feel free to ask. Don't be bashful. It's perfectly fine. And it allows you to practice getting out there. Like, look, and I said with love right here, if you're kind of shy about asking a question on a live stream, which doesn't even have that many viewers, like, how are you going to feel when you're asked a question at an interview if you're shy about even commenting and stuff like that? And again, you don't have to listen to me like what I'm just randomly talking about, because nobody's saying anything. But what I'm saying is that don't be shy asking questions. It will help the community. It will help everybody. And it'll help you to practice being able to speak at an interview, by being able to ask questions, by being able to be part of the communication. And like, if I were to give like a pro tip, and whenever you go on interviews, it's important to understand that interview process is not a one-way conversation. So if you go to an interview and you're doing like 10% of the talking because they're doing 90% of the talking, you got to get to a position where whenever you go to an interview, there's a healthy communication on both sides. It might be 60-40, where you talk 40% of the time. And definitely have questions. And this is kind of one way to, get that practice. And I'm telling you this because all the interviews that I had that were my best interviews is because I talked half the time. And you'd be like, well, Paul's able to talk like half the time because he's a blah, blah, blah. Like, this is a skill that I learned. And the reason I have YouTube is because I daily basis practice on YouTube talking. It's not like a lot of people here's another truth bomb. I love you guys. I really do. I love you so much. I appreciate the community. You give me the strength to continue to do what I do, but you're not the only reason why I have this YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is for me for twofolds. There's a reason why I have a coding portion on my live stream, and there's a reason why I have this soft skill talking portion. On the coding portion, my goal is to continue to get better at programming and talking about the code that I write. I don't care if people judge me, if people hate me, but it's the reason why I have that Tuesday night stream, because I want to get better talking to random strangers about the code that I'm writing, because that's exactly what I'm going to do on the interview. At an interview, I'm going to be talking to strangers about my code. So that's kind of self-serving my own purpose, and hopefully it brings value to you as well. Of course it does. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. But That's why I have the Tuesday night live stream. On Saturday streams, it's all about like developing social skills, understanding when people are hiring you that it's not all about the code, and try to figure out what those things are and talking about them on the live stream, because so I have a record of the things that I'm doing that worked for me, that didn't work for me, and obviously it's providing value to you. But I just want you to know that it goes both ways. You guys get value, I get value from doing these videos that go way beyond the monetary approach, because I'm literally building the experience that I'm talking about. So and this is why I want you guys to ask questions, because I want you guys to be part of the conversation. Alex, first I'm going to say, if there was a talking course on Udemy, I would be the instructor. I would be the guy. I would be the guy, that guy that's teaching that course. So no, I did not take a course on Udemy how to talk, because if I did, I would be taking my own course. Listen, by the way, if people say like, Paul, you talk so much, because I worked as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor, and that's basically talking 24/7. If people are wondering where my skill of talking came from, and I taught martial arts for a very long time, so I probably have, like at least 15 years of talking to people of experience. So when people think like, oh, it's so easy to Paul, it wasn't easy. It's just I have 15 years of experience doing it. When I first started, it was a lot of work, and I wasn't this I'm still not articulate, by the way, but at least wasn't this confident about talking to people. But coming back to what we talked about before, this ability to talk, to build a community, being part of the community, not being afraid to jump into conversations, is the most critical skill you could have, because you will be surprised how far you could get by asking. And most people don't. Most people don't ask. Most people, they just, someone says something to them, like, okay, great, thanks, and then they stop talking. And I know how scary it is to talk and get yourself out there, and it's a skill that takes development, but if you don't ask, you'll never get there. And I have so many examples where, I talk to people where they left the conversation hanging and they thought that the answer was no, and it's like they never followed up. They were too afraid to ask. No, follow up, ask. See what the next step, see why they didn't take you. See, maybe you missed something, right? And one of the most important, there's a lot of stuff, but like that you can do. But one thing that anybody could do anytime is basically follow up with people, regardless of. Actually, this is an interesting story. So they actually asked me this question. They actually told me this in an interview, which surprised me. I almost started to cry, but I didn't. I kept my composure. And this was like the last interview. This was the final interview before getting a job. They literally said to you, Paul, what would you do if we would not hire you right now? What would you do if we said, you know what? We decided to go a different route. You're not the person we're looking for. They literally asked me this question at the interview. Literally, I had poker face. I was like this. Inside, my heart, tears forming in my eyes, but I held it back. I was like, well, I said, well, I hope that's not the case. But if you did say, look, we decided to go with somebody else and you're not the right candidate, I would have asked you, well, before I go, what is it that made you decide to go with somebody else? Is it something that I could improve on? Was it my projects? Was it my communication? Was it blah, 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 blah? So I literally said that to the person interviewing, who said, like, what would you do if we didn't hire you? And then I said I would thank them for the time and say, thank you very much for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope in the future that we could continue this conversation and I could improve the ABC, whatever it was, and come back and reapply. And apparently that was the right answer. And so here's the thing that I am trying to say here is that you never know until you ask these things. And like, you have to be comfortable talking about to people, and knowing that it's a conversation between two people, instead of like if she said, what would you do now if we didn't hire you? I was like, nothing. Thank you, whatever. That's a totally different answer from the one that I gave. And thank God that I gave the right answer under pressure, because I've done it before. And it's part of like my, like kind of what I'm used to, is that if you fail at something, before you go home and cry, go ahead and ask that person why you failed. And I know people don't like dating examples, but I remember I asked this girl once out. It was my friend's sister a long time ago, which I ended up dating for a very long time. I said, hey, would you like to date? She's like, no. Literally, she was like, no, nah. She was older than me a little bit. Like I think I was 24 and she was like 28. Too mature for me, you know. She's like, no. Like it was like literally like no. And so I was like, why? Like you didn't even give me a chance. Like I didn't ask her at the time. I went home. I sat there. I cried a little bit. Of course, I cry a lot. And I was like, no, something about that's not good enough answer. So I literally called my brother. He picks up. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? And he's like, look, I don't want to hang out with you. I'm like, I'm not calling for you, bro. I'm like, put your sister on the phone. She's like, what? He's like, what? Why? Why would I even want to talk to your sister? And like, I'm like, hey, I know yesterday you told me no, but I was thinking about it, like the way you said it, like I was just wondering, like you had some hesitation. Is there something that is holding you back, like being like, hey, let me give this guy a chance, or or is there something you're not sure about? Like, just let me know. Like either way, it's fine. Whatever you decide, we don't have to date. It was just preventing me from sleeping, so I wanted to know what was the reason why you said no. And she goes like, all right, let's grab coffee. Let's get a coffee. So like, if I wouldn't try to follow up, and again, she could have said no, and I would have been fine. Okay, that's good. I wouldn't like bother her. But I'm just saying that one time when someone rejects you, says no, you don't qualify, you don't do this, it's okay to be like, hey, but why? Probably not like that, like a more proper way. Be like, hey, I understand. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. But before I go, can you just let me know what was it about the other candidate that made you go with them versus choosing me? Get those answers, because now you have that feedback loop. You're able to make the changes that you need to make to be able to go and fix that thing about yourself to bring you better and get you to that next level. So those are, and like I tell you guys how it is. Like I talk about the things that I do, the things that I work on, the things that work for me, and this didn't come from me waking up one day and knowing all of this. This came from a lot of failure, a lot of crying in the fetal position, a lot of rejections. But rejections are good for you because they basically tell you two things. Number one is that you're missing something. There's a reason why they didn't take you. Dude, 7 lines, you're ready. You lost me. You lost me. You must assume like I know what she was all about the chase. I don't know. I've been I don't understand relationships. I'm just gonna say this. So don't take relationship advice from me. But yeah, no, I think I think honestly she wasn't about the chase. I think she woke up that day, had a headache, and she just didn't want to deal with me. And she was like, you know what? If it gets that guy to hang up the phone, I'm just gonna say coffee date at Starbucks, whatever. It's a public area. I could run away, what have you. And so that's what happened. And then we ended up like dating for like 5 years. It was insane. It was insane. But yeah. So any other questions? Anything else? But I was saying, like I go ahead and just talk about like what I'm doing, because there's no sense of me, making stuff up to make myself cooler like people do on Instagram. You see people on Instagram. Like here's a hilarious thing. So like I was on Instagram one day. Uh, I would say she had a headache and she just wanted to get me off the phone. Yeah, but probably no. Yeah, you're right. Like people, do want to see people work for stuff, right? And that's actually a good point. No matter where you go, job interview, relationships, people want to see your level of commitment. So they're probably gonna give you some resistance initially to see, are you just gonna like be like, oh no, and stop, or are you gonna follow up? Are you gonna try to be like, hey, like I really want to do this. Let's get there. And I know I had a funny story. I'm so full of funny story. But here, yeah, the funny story was going to say Instagram. like, is anybody real on Instagram? Like every Instagram I see, it's like a person that lives in a mansion, drives a helicopter, makes $10 billion, and they're all telling me to buy their Make Money Online course. And then every other person I see on Instagram, they're all making like $1 million. But when I go on census, like for USA, and see how many people are actually making $1 million or even hundred thousands of dollars, versus, and you compare it to all the people on Instagram, something doesn't add up. Either our government is lying that there's more people making $1 million or $100,000, or Instagram is full of crap. I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is. But the point that I'm saying, for me, there's no sense of not like presenting myself as I am, because like what is it gonna do for me? Like, like it won't. Like, and so for me, the reason why I like this community is because I get to just talk to you guys about what I'm going through, what I'm doing. You could pick and choose what you like to hear, what you don't. Try some of the things that I've done. But the reason I'm telling you is because, like, hey, I made a lot of mistakes. And I'll probably make more mistakes. And if it saves you guys from making that same mistakes, that's hooray for everyone. Um, Yeah, and 100%. We always learn from our mistakes, not from our successes. And no one, yeah, and that's 100% true. But most people talk about their success. And that's why it makes it seem that, like, nobody ever failed before, and people just strike at gold every opportunity they get. Like every person that's like, I got my job after 3 months of doing Python. I make 100,000. It's not that easy. It really isn't that easy. Life is hard. Getting a job is hard. Learning to code is hard. Sitting on the chair that I'm sitting on right now is hard. It's very difficult. And so if someone talks about an easy way, there's something wrong. There's no an easy way. Like, I just watched the video of this guy. He was like, I got a job in 4 months. And then, like, till the end of the video, but it wasn't really developer job. But then, because I only had 4 months of experience, and then eventually led to that. Then you didn't get a job in 4 months as a developer. You know what I mean? Like, it takes hard work. It takes just difficulty, struggle, hard work. I'm just going to put those sentences together. Like, what do you need to do to learn to code? Difficulty, hard work, struggle, work hard. And it will probably take you a year and a half, 10 years. So, yeah, I mean, so this is why I like the community, because nobody cares about the BS. People just want to do the things that they need to do. So, like, my favorite answer, and these are like, so we have people on. Great question. I will answer that in a second. 7 lines, because it's a really good question. Let me answer it right now, because I forgot the funny thing I was going to say. Probably irrelevant. So, do you stay at a job for years? Typical jobs are faithful to only give like 5% raises each year, but changing jobs, you typically get 20%. Yeah, and 100%. So, in the tech industry, like a year is probably a good barometer, and after a year, you basically go ahead and switch jobs. And by the way, after a year, you could find. Excuse me, guys. That was uncalled for, that hiccup. But after a year, you could find once you work at a company for a year, especially when you're just starting out, get another offer and come back to your job. Be like, look, I got an offer, which is 20% raise. Do you want to keep me here, or do you want me to take this job? Definitely do that. The only thing I would say, unless you're working at a company that you really, really love, like for instance, the job that I got now, like I really like what I'm going to do. And so I'm probably going to be there for a while. As long as you're making what you need to make, and as long as you love what you're doing. But if you're starting out, change jobs every year. Yeah, like if you're a junior and go on your next job for next 3 jobs at least, definitely after a year, move on and get something else. But once you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm at this certain level, I really like the company I work for, and if you really love the product and you love the project, you don't have to switch jobs, every year. Like the job that I got now, I'm going to stay there as long as I can, because first of all, I really love what I'm going to do. I'm really excited for it. And first of all, like, And second of all, I really like the product. So for me, like, I don't want to like for me to switch jobs from the job that I have now, it would have to be something that I love even more. And people say, well, money, you will like love money more, right? But to me, like, if you're already at a position where you're making a decent income, money might not be like, especially like, might be not be the only motivator. So when you're starting out, definitely the first 3 years after every year get a new job just so you could rise in your going from junior to mid to senior as quickly as you can. But then once you find a company that you really like, and after a year, if you still love it and you still enjoy it and you believe in what you're doing, stay there. I have a friend who worked at his current company. He switched jobs, and then his last company, he's been there 7 years. Like, he's now an architect and he loves it. He has no reason to leave. And so that's what I would say. So any few last questions, guys? Anything you guys want to say? If you missed the stream, definitely check it out. That's true. I don't love anything else. I love my cats, actually. I love my cats. Love my kitty cats. Cats. I have two of them. This is the only one that likes my live streams, though. So she comes and sits with me and chats. So I love my cats. You could be manly and love cats, right? Is that true? Can you be manly and still love cats? Is that possible? Is that true? I don't know if my cats love me though. I think they just love me to take care of them and stuff, but whatever. Any other questions, guys? Anything else? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I love chatting with you. I love engaging with the community. I love hearing what you guys up to. But my voice is slowly starting to go. So while I wait for a question, I'm going to take a sip of this beautiful coffee at evening. Yeah, by the way, if you did jump a little bit later on the stream, definitely check out like the beginning and like the first initial hour, because we did talk about a lot of great stuff. So what I do is usually these streams are like an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes whenever you guys are asking a lot of questions and stuff like that, I'd love to, stay and chat with you guys. So sometimes they go a little bit longer, but usually the first hour, hour and a half, usually like the hour is basically, a topic that I want to discuss. And then after hour mark, it's just chilling and chatting, which is always awesome, answering questions. That's a great question. So especially if you're a solo developer and you're building something by yourself. So my current project, I'm using Tailwind, and you could use React Bootstrap or Material UI is very popular. So a lot of those components and libraries, they're already responsive ready. So what I would say, if you already know the basics of HTML, CSS, and you've done some basic projects, and now you're at a point where you're more interested in showcasing your React skills because you're building an application, definitely rely on a library that makes your application look professional, and you don't have to fight the CSS because you are a React developer and you're more interested in showcasing your JavaScript code or your React code. So that would be my suggestion, is do that, because at the end of the day, that's the most important part, is the functionality of your application. So why? And by the way, the last 3 companies I worked at, we used the first one, we used Material UI. The second company, we used React Bootstrap, and then we just switched it to Material UI. And then the company that I'm working at now, they have their own UI library that they have for their application. And so you will always be using something. Very rarely you'll be, especially if you're just starting out at a company, very rarely are you going to be recreating certain elements from scratch, right? You just be implementing the UI that already exists. But so for you, like I would say, is if you're working on your React application and you feel like, man, I'm trying to juggle React but also work on CSS and HTML is just going to take forever, and it's like a struggle, just use a library. There's nothing wrong with that. And by the way, like seeing when you start using libraries like Material UI, like go ahead and take a look at the code. Go ahead and see how they structure their classes. And that's actually going to help you to find a structure that you might like, or using like styled components, stuff like that. And so I actually learn a lot nowadays from looking at existing projects and taking a look under the hood. And so I'll show you one example actually. This is actually kind of cool. Like how I figure out like how to structure my application. And I'll show you this example because I'm straight up into, like, I'm bromancing Strappy. So I'll show you this example, but a lot of times there's a lot of publicly available projects, and so you could go to GitHub, especially if it's open source like Strappy is. You could go to packages. This is basically, let me go back here. Examples, packages, assets. I'm trying to remember which one it is. Yeah, so you could go in through places, and you could literally look stuff up like components, and you could look into the code, and you could see examples. Like obviously this is a JSON file. I'm actually curious, like every time I come here, should be packages. Oh, plugins. I went the wrong way. Yeah, plugins. So like they have a user permissions plugin, and so you go like server. By the way, don't worry if you're getting lost, but basically they have the structure, they have controllers, they have GraphQL, they have routes and services. So you're able to actually go ahead to controllers, and you see different controls. So they have user controllers, and you could see that if you want to create a user, this is the controller that they call on. Let me make this bigger a little bit. To call on, and then you could see that certain functionality here, they're finding, actually let me find better examples. So here they're using a function get service, but what it's finding a Strappy services. And so you could see where that's being called from is, let me back up one more step. You go to services, and then you could see all the different services that they have that they were calling from the control. So I look at literally code like this to get the structure of the app. And then you study other people's code and you try to figure out how it works. And so here's an example of, a service. Like here's an edit service if you want to edit a user. And that could be called from a controller. And so basically you look at other people's code. And so just based on this example, I'm like, oh, okay, when you call a route, you're probably hitting a controller, and that controller is calling services, and then you kind of get an idea. And so that basically what I would say is that start looking at other people's code, especially open source projects. And this is one of the kind of cool, maybe you're not even committing to open source projects, but you're at least able to have access to the code, start looking at the code, and start making sense of it. And so what I do is I look at how, for instance, how Strappy implemented their controllers and servers, and then I try to recreate that with Node application and follow their file structure, and I play with it. And that's a good way to learn and do those things. And let's see here. Okay, that makes sense. Engine boy, I'm using Material Tailwind in my bug tracker. It's a library. There's Material UI by Tailwind build components. Wow, that's pretty cool, Engine boy. I'm going to have to check it out. That's pretty awesome. Right now I'm using Tailwind, and then I'm using styled components with Tailwind. Material UI is kind of cool though. And then some line says, when interviewing for your first job, they won't see you using Material UI Tailwind as like cheating as a crisis. No, not really. As long as, like, what I would say, if you have, so for projects that I recommend people build for your portfolio, like build your first project as simple HTML, CSS, and JavaScript website that is responsive, right? At least build a basic website to showcase that you at least know CSS and you understand the concepts, what is a responsive application is, you understand media queries, you write some basic ones, but it doesn't have to be like a full fleshed out. It's the fact that you know CSS. And then for your second project, build React application and maybe use CSS modules and then write your own CSS. And then for your third project, use Tailwind, React, or Bootstrap React or Material UI to build your application. So that's how we do it in steps. But if you are weaker at design, which a lot of developers are, believe it or not, a lot of developers don't like CSS, using a framework is not a crutch, because all the jobs that I had, you're using a framework anyway, right? So you're basically like, find out what's the most popular framework is with React and look at what people are hiring for. They'll say like React, Material UI, and then build your project with Material UI to showcase them. So no, definitely not a crutch. Especially if you're going to be working at a company that's using Material UI, so they'll probably expect you to be comfortable with using Material UI. So anyway, guys, that was a lot of fun, great time. I could already tell my voice is going to go. If you missed the beginning of the stream, definitely rewatch it. If you want to put some likes right now as the last likes going, you don't have to, but you can if you found value in what I do. I stream on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you're always welcome to join us. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Thank you so much. And together, we're going to make it happen. So wherever you are, guys, I just want to wish you the best. I hope you're safe. I hope you have the rest of the weekend is the best week you possibly have, and I hope you have a nice week. And with that being said, I'll see you guys the next live stream, which will be on Tuesday. And thank you so much for letting me be part of your community. I really appreciate all of you guys. Much love, respect, and I'll see you guys later. Take care, guys. And by the way, I think next week we're going to have Alex on. So that'll be fantastic. We don't know what the topic is going to be, but I think next Saturday we're going to have Alex come on. That'll be fantastic to chat with him. He's also one of those self-taught developers that got a job as a software engineer and now is killing it. So it'll be great. And I know somebody asked what happened to Smilga. Oh, nothing. He's just taking time off. He's got family coming and doing, I think they have like a baby on the way. And so he's just taking time to do the family things. And then once he's back, we're going to jump in and we're going to we're going to continue doing those. I almost had a brain aneurysm. What kind of human being would dislike this beautiful, amazing show? I mean, obviously, like, what kind of human being would do that? Break my heart. It breaks my heart to see that dislike. But it's okay. It happens. You can't make anybody or everybody happy, so I'm fine with it. I could live with it. But yeah, we're going to come back to the Power Hour web development stream. It'll be fantastic. But lots of love to you guys. You don't have to like me, but thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all and each one of you. And with that being said, man, 7 Lines sent me a super chat, so that's worth kind of being here. Super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, 7 Lines, for your love and support. And I love all of you guys. I appreciate everything you do. Look, life is already hard, so if you guys could have some place to go where there's no judgment, we're super positive, but then we talk about reality of what it takes to get hired. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate all of you guys. And everybody, thank you so much. Lots of love. And again, 7 Lines, I appreciate your support. This is going to go into my food for my cats fund, which you're basically letting them eat for another week. Fantastic. No, I'm just kidding. I love my cats. I love them a lot. You see them on live stream a lot. So anyway, thank you so much. Saying goodbye again. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Have a great day. Have a great morning. Be the best that you guys can be. And hope to see you guys next stream.